to know each other a little bit as a whole group, because you'll be working together a lot in groups. So you have a quote at your seat from a scientist, lots of women scientists, and I'd like you to read your quote, put it into your own words in your mind, and then get up and take at least 3 steps away from where you are. Meet somebody new, share your quote and what it means to you. Maybe introduce yourself, what school you're at, what grade you teach. And we'll do that about 5-10 minutes. We'll see how it goes. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, go.
There you are.
I didn't know if you were walking.
I took that literally. That's what I did.
Back in time for what we're doing.
No.
Okay, you're
But
just
I
getting
figured.
your quote off the table.
Yes.
Okay, take about 30 seconds to finish up your thoughts, and you can head back to your spot. Oh, that's all right. Take about 15 seconds now and head back to your spots. You can start heading back when you're...
Okay, thank you.
You guys can start heading back when you're done with your last few comments. You guys can start heading back. You can start heading back as soon as you finish up your thoughts. All right, who had a quote that stuck with them or that they liked, that they'd like to share with the group? Well, somebody said they just said that to their students yesterday. Who was that? It was up here in this group. What was your quote? Who has another one they'd be willing to share? Sure. Imagination is more important than science. Yes. Yes. Okay. Definitely, many of our girls came out feeling that way. And if you noticed, many of the quotes were by females. I think one of them was the first female in space, and there were quite a few. So any others you want to share? Okay, this is what our day supposedly looks like. I'll mess it up 10 times before the end. I'm going to go over what the sessions generally look like, but they'll be kind of fluid, and we'll work on together what we need more of, what we need less of, where we want to go. We're going to look at the standards and talk about science and technology in our daily lives. We'll take a break around 9:45 or 10. The break's more about where it fits and if you need to go At any other time, go ahead. We're all adults. I don't need to be in charge of your bathroom breaks. There's food and drink back there, so feel free. We're going to talk about the NGSS in terms of the three-dimensional learning, the DCIs, the science and engineering practices, and the cross-cutting concepts so that we get a little better handle on that. We're going to do an activity with a knowledge analogy with that. And then from 11 to about lunch, I planned what a science unit might look like now, because science looks different. It's not just pulling out the science textbook, heaven forbid, and doing one lesson and we did our science today. It really is more of an overarching look over a period of time. So we want to see how that will look, and we also want to talk about how we make time for that, because we don't really have time to say anymore, I don't have time for that. The world we live in today doesn't give us time to not have time for science. We have to make room for it. When I talk with my teaching candidates and I teach the science courses in the spring, they all say, and they're not all in Poway, but they all say, I didn't see any science the whole time I was there last term. Really? How do you not see science? But anyway, we're going to talk about that and how to make time for it, and how, I know everybody says this, but how it's embedded with the Common Core, how it's embedded with math, and how we can utilize our time best. So that is our plan. Okay. All right, so how our year is going to kind of look, and kind of what Cindy said is it's a gift of time, which I kind of agree with. Ingrid, who is the professor of science at Cal State San Marcos, will be here. Next week we're going to talk about citizen science and do some activities that go with that. Citizen science is awesome. You'll really enjoy it. It's a great place to start. She also has resources, she knows more in her little finger than I know, my whole body. So you will really enjoy learning from her. That's our plan for November. We're also going to be talking about the Pro Grow Day in January, today and next time, and we're going to decide what that looks like. I have some ideas, but as I was laying in bed last night at about 2 worrying, it's very different dealing with your colleagues than it is with students who think you know everything, but your colleagues know you don't. I'm not going to give my thoughts yet. I think we're going to just do, everyone's going to chart some thoughts and think about it, and I think we have an opportunity to make a professional development day that really matters for teachers and isn't a situation where they're just sitting and getting things, and it can be differentiated, and I know we have some great experience in this room in terms of that, so I think we have an opportunity to really make it valuable, so I'm excited to do that. So we'll do that the first 2 sessions. In January, again, we'll be looking at more NGSS activities and units. And then we're also going to look at how we might be able to create a lesson study and work together to see each other teach and to put I don't know what I want to call it, but a bank of lessons, of units together, so that when you go, if we have this opportunity again next year and you're going back to your schools, you will have things to share that are already in place, rather than us people having to create them all. Let's use the knowledge in the room. So we'll be looking at that for January, March, and April. And then in April, we'll see what kind of luck we have next year. All right. We can go on to the next slide. Apparently, I have to have my own clicker. I don't own a clicker. All right, so I want you to think for a minute, and you're going to use some of the information at your table. And I wanted to introduce you to this. This is a newspaper, in case you've forgotten. And I had to go to the grocery store. I'm like, where are the newspapers? Anyway, I wanted you to look at the newspapers, at the magazines, and look at the articles. What articles have a science base where you have to know some science to understand? So in maybe groups of 4, because the tables are about 8, just share them around and talk about what you're seeing science-wise just in the newspapers and the magazines. technology. Yeah, they go together.
There you go.
So what are you noticing so far? It's everywhere. So tell me what you mean by it's everywhere. So what does that tell you about what kids need to know? Even the business section. So what did you see in the business section? Yeah. Steam everywhere. So what does that tell us about what we need, what our kids need to know? Yeah, it's everywhere. What are decisions you make every day that are science-based? Definitely. Which is the way the world is now. Multiple resources and context. Yeah. Simple, but it's valuable. And where do you find that? My kids find it on their phone. I mean, they're teenagers, but that's where they go to look. What other daily decisions do you make, even in your home life, about science? Yes. What to eat? How does it, say that again? Healthy versus not. Yeah, we're having that whole discussion in our house. My husband had a health issue, and we're trying to find our way to what is healthy, what healthy food looks like. Yes. Yeah. No, I have a new car, and I'm like, what is that little orange thing? Oh, you have a tire issue. Oh, yeah. Well, exactly. Yeah, just thinking about our cars and the technology. I bought a somewhat new car a few months ago. I had like a 2000 Suburban before, and I sat in the driver's seat, and I'm like, I have no idea what to do in this car because everything is technology-based. What are some other decisions you make every day that are science-based? Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Landscaping plants, from the geometry of it to what kind of plants. There's science-based in that. We live in a drought area. What plants will work for that? What are natives? What is our ecosystem? What about like what kind of antibacterial soap to buy? I mean, it's every day it's something. So, okay. So with that said, and I know this has been said many, many times, but I do think it's one of those things that's important to keep in mind is that we need to prepare the kids for this world they're going to be living in. It's a different world than we grew up in. It's a very different world than I grew up in. And they need to be able to make mistakes and learn from their mistakes and grow and change. So we have to, through our science, and when I say science, I kind of mean everything, technology, engineering, math, all of that goes together. So definitely, so that they can thrive. And what I liked about this one was that word thrive. That's what we want for them, is to be able to thrive and solve some of these problems. Because regardless of what everyone says, we're going to have some global warming issues, and these are the kids that are going to have to help us with that. Okay? I'm not going to go through, the slides are not here for me to lecture you on. I'm not interested in doing that. But there are some things behind the NGSS that as leaders, I think you should know. This may not be something that you ever share with your teachers, but if you're going to kind of be a facilitator, you might want to know some of the background that goes with it. This PowerPoint is for you guys. I'll make sure it gets to you. Like I said, I'm not going to stand up here and show you 50 slides because who wants to do that? There's a lot of activities and things. But these are the companies and the nonprofit organizations that helped create the NGSS. And I think it's important from the fact that you've got the National Science Teachers Association, so teachers were involved, to the National Academies, which is the Academy of Science, Engineering, and Medicine, which is a private institution that helped out. Just a whole lot of knowledge that went into making these over a whole lot of time. So I put their websites. They're worth having. Sometimes they have grants and various different things. And the National Science Teachers Association has all kinds of resources as well. So just so you have those things there. These were the frameworks that they used to create the NGSS. They even used what was in the past for the 2009 so that we were sure that we were covering everything. So again, just valuable information for you to know as you're talking about them to other people. All right, we can keep going. And then this is what the NGSS actually came out of, and I've actually read this one. It's a free, I think it's a free download, but I bought the book. And it just gives a whole lot of background. And I use it when I've forgotten exactly what something means, or I want to have a different way to say it, which might come invaluable to you when you're working with your teachers, is sometimes we just need another way to say things. All right, the NGSS were created with the concept of assessment embedded, curricula but not curriculum. You know, you guys are smart enough, they're standards. Instruction, how that will look, more of a facilitator view and a lot of group work. And then with some teacher development embedded as well. These are the states that are currently involved with the NGSS. It's not like the Common Core Standards, bless you. It's not a requirement that all states adopt. It's up to each state. So as you can see, we're about halfway there. Okay, so will you click on that link for me? I think they're still using the out-of-date ones, which is unfortunate. You know, when those came in the 90s, what was going on in science in the 90s? I don't even think it's comparable. Try one more time. Is it spinning? Okay. Is it spinning on the computer? I checked it before. Okay, well, while we're waiting, in case it doesn't spin, if you wouldn't mind just going to this site on your computers, that will help us go forward. Doesn't like it. Yeah, that is, but it's not showing up on the screen. Oh. All right, did you guys get it on your computers? Okay, so what it's called, just if you can't get the link, go to the Next Generation Science Standards and then search a new vision for science education. And if just a couple people at your table have it, that's fine too. I think it's in the appendices as well. There you go. All right, with a couple people at your table, maybe like we were before, in groups of 4, depending how many are there, look at what science education will involve less of now and what it might involve more of. So just look through the infographic with your table and chat about it for a couple minutes. Okay, we'll just skip it and go to the next slide because I've got them getting it up on their computers. No, it's not your fault. I was sitting here and did the same. You have to go to presenter view. I'm sorry. All right, what are some things you're noticing in the changes? Yes. Okay, so it used to be teacher-driven, now it's student-driven. What else are we noticing? Open-ended. Right, more experiential maybe, but yeah, not as much memorizing these hypotheses process, definitely. Yeah, using multiple sources, and I think that's a common theme. We're less, as teachers now or as facilitators, we're less content and more context, showing them how to manage their materials and how to manage their resources so that they can learn from them. What you're seeing on your screen is what turned into the shifts. So can you see some of them up there? A deeper understanding of content as well as application of content. So you can see how what you're looking at on your screen turned into the shifts that are occurring in science education now. Any other thoughts on that? Absolutely. And we're going to have all the same issues we always have, that, you know, we don't have the correct this or that. I think, now I can't speak for the district, but I'll speak for Christina. It might be time to be looking outside a specific curriculum with a specific book and looking at, you know, maybe this group, what we can create, and then using some of that money to buy what we need for the hands-on materials. I thought they had, but I can check at lunch and make sure. I thought that they had said, we're going to give you the money and you can decide how to use it. If that's still true, that gives us some flexibility. Yes. And definitely, there will be a list of things to work through. For us this year, we just get the gift of trying this out and looking at some of those issues, but maybe not getting stuck on them. Do you know what I mean? Because we don't want, right. Right. So we'll keep talking about them, and hopefully as a group we'll come up with some great ideas and great ways to make this work. The lesson I did today, I'm going to do later today, didn't require a whole lot of supplies, so we'll talk as we go on over the 6 sessions how we can make this manageable. And we'll talk about how we make time and all of those kinds of things, definitely. Okay. Okay, so what I'm going to give you all at your tables, and you'll work kind of in groups, is the progression of the standards from kindergarten to 12th grade, because they took a whole lot of things and made it much smaller and created a progression that kids could work through so that when they leave high school, they have a great handle on science and the natural world and how things work, and they can go out and be problem solvers. So I want you to kind of have an idea. There's Earth and space science, which has multiple progressions in it. There's life science, and then there is also matter. Physical science, yes, thank you, I'm like matter. So you're going to, in groups of about 4, look through your progressions. You're going to focus on how the expectations progress as the grade level increases. There's on your table a little graphic organizer that you can fill in if you'd like to. And then we're going to organize those on a chart so that everybody else can see what those progressions look like. And then when we're done with that, I have some quotes that have to do with how these standards were created, and you're going to compare what you're seeing in the progressions and how they support the quotes about how science should look. Yes? These are the national right now. I want you to kind of get an overarching view, and we will look at the California ones. They're not completely finalized yet. They're very close. So I want you to kind of get a... That's what I understand. So yeah, hopefully at our next meeting. Yeah, and there wasn't big changes. California didn't go bonkers like they usually do and change every little thing. So, but it's still, again, as I see, you know, when you look at teachers training teachers, what I'm looking at for you guys is that you have that kind of, I hate these things, have that kind of knowledge, and you're going to give to your teachers, you know, this kind of knowledge in the funnel, and then they'll be able to do their kids. It's good if you can answer questions that they ask. Do you know what I mean? So that you have a bigger picture. Make sense? Okay.
We have two papers that we could write the same thing, or we physical science. What grade level? Well, physical science progression. So it's like the trajectory of the grade levels. Okay.
So structure of matter.
So cool. I can tell you what it is in second grade.
Chemical reaction. Structure of matter and chemical reaction.
Like K2, matter exists as different.
So it sounds like you're focusing on the property of matter and that it can change over time, right? So that's K2. Would you agree that's the focus? Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to put, it says, the first one says, how does content build over grade level? So I'm just going to put K2, focus on those two things. Is that okay? Sure. Okay.
Were these
Properties of matter. Am I missing matter and how it...
Objects can be built from smaller parts.
Build on something?
As we read on, it might.
Okay, so focus on properties of matter, and it's, I don't need to put its observable properties, we don't need to put everything in detail, but, and it's okay, so how should I write it? Because we only have a tiny little box. I don't think she wants us to write a lot. Focus on properties of matter and physical changes. How would you say that? Is that fine? And that means it could get smaller or larger. Because erosion, things get smaller, gas, things grow.
But that's not what we do. That's not my unit. I was just thinking that in kinder, the different properties are super.
Oh, okay, that certain properties are suited.
So like this animal lives in the desert because it has this.
I was thinking a farm has a fence because it keeps an animal. I was like, something that basic, but it's more in depth, like their habitat. Okay, see, in second grade, it's properties change over how you focus on properties change over time.
So I knew what you were talking about, and I'm like.
So should I give any more detail, or should we move on? What's the next grade? It breaks into 3, 4?
3, 5.
Okay, so 3, 5. What grade do you teach again? 4th or 5th?
Oh, second.
Oh, you're second grade as well. Okay. So 3, 5.
Of a variety of observable properties can be identify particular material.
Going to the small end,
Yeah.
but it still exists.
It starts here and gets smaller.
So this one says matter of any type can be subdivided into
too small to the hat. Like gases. So models, looking at models and how
But we still do models in K through 2. You narrow down.
This says it can be, okay, 2 can be built up from smaller parts, and then 3.5 goes to the smaller parts.
Okay, so then I will put back on K2 because it sounds like we're narrowing in on that.
Yeah.
Okay, so K2 I'm going to add can be built from smaller parts or can be.
matter can be described.
What did you say?
It's built up from smaller parts. So I think it's
Can be.
started with the
Five.
A great variety of objects can be built.
And then where did it say it narrows down?
Model that shows gases from matter particles that are too small to be seen. Particles that are too small to be seen, but even then,
Okay, so in 3 through 5, would you guys think that it's detecting matter in its smallest form?
yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Or matter that can't be seen?
Yeah.
Detecting matter.
measurement of still observing.
Okay, so that's all I put for 3.5. Should I add anything? Detecting matter of smaller parts, possibly that can't be seen. Okay, and then what about what's the next? 6 through 8.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You don't have a 6 through 8. Oh, well, we have stuff to do. I forget about the high school at this school. I'm sorry.
That's okay. We used to and this mentions atoms too, substances.
Yeah, so they learned about
They probably learn about it in 3 through 5.
3.5, and then they go from there to explain.
And then they combine with one another in various ways.
Yeah.
So then it's
They're building on that knowledge of the small
smaller particles, atoms, forms.
and maybe their name is not named.
Probably named and analyzed.
Yeah, and it says here atoms
Like here, the
form
first one,
molecules that range in size from 2 to thousands of atoms.
Like this is like fun.
Oh, the kids were like, we've already learned matter. And I go, you know what? Instead of saying we've already done it, I want you to start saying, I look forward to learning more. Let's practice. I look forward to learning more. I said, that's what you're going to do in 3rd grade. Learn about matter. That's what you're going to do in 6th grade. Learn about matter. That's what you're going to do in high school. And I even went all the way to college and they're like, oh, I hate that. We already know this. I'm excited to learn more.
I was like, some of you were in TK last year. I look forward to your input.
Now, your name's Joe, right? I feel like I remember that. Okay, so Joe, 2nd grade now, we're going over landforms. But the first grade teacher did that last time. Is that the same case for you? I told them we were going to be doing landforms and like half. We did that last year. We made volcanoes and mountains and rivers and that. Well, we're going to do it again. I'm excited to learn more. Maybe I can. Yeah. How land changes slowly over time, or quickly over time. But the first grade teachers did that. Plains, mountains, rivers, valleys, all that. I'm like, I don't even know what you were saying. Okay, so 6 through 8, is it narrowing down on
Like the specific
focusing more on atoms, how they can be
Chemistry.
okay.
how things are, how those are put together.
See, and you learn.
Is it changing over time? Because remember, in kinder and second,
How it's used to explain everything.
atoms and particles, atoms and molecules. I'm sorry.
And they also study how each substance has a physical and a chemical property. So I think they
Oh, chemical properties. Okay, so I'm going to put that here, chemical properties.
Liquids are made of
Because it goes into the properties, the diversity, the state of matter, the changes.
So when they started going to chemistry in high school, that's when they're going to do this again. That's what I told the kids. I was like, and then you're going to take a class called chemistry. And they're like,
Are we done yet? We finished. Yeah.
I said, who wants to be a doctor? No, I'm just kidding. I didn't say that. Okay, let's move on. There's 5 other boxes, so let's kind of move on. The next one says, how are higher order thinking skills integrated into these standards?
Are we doing 912 or?
Oh, we can. We have 5 other boxes. Do you want to do 912? What do you see in 912? I'll put it back here. Okay.
Adam has charged some structure on sustainability.
They're basically going into
The nucleus to the core.
Yeah.
yeah,
Neutrons,
going
yeah,
to
by
the
electrons.
subatomic structure. So how are they
Protons and neutrons. So chemical reaction again. Okay, so I put subatomic structure, protons, neutrons. This is above me.
So it's actually getting smaller and smaller and smaller.
The focus narrows. Let's just say that the focus narrows and narrows. Can you get smaller than the nucleus?
But I can't tell you
And
why
the
the
nucleus.
subatomic structure of
Let's just say the vocabulary words and we'll feel smart. Protons, neutrons, added vocabulary. Well, let's just say that 9 through 12 you learn more vocabulary.
But can you see if they've had it at a lower level? It might not be so overwhelming. They're not just memorizing vocabulary. And even if they don't have the vocabulary, they're putting it to use. I know things.
I was just telling them, the kids were like, we've already learned matter in first grade. I was like, Mom, you have to get your leave.
We were just talking about that earlier.
I said, instead of saying you've already learned this, say, I can't wait to learn more. So now my kids say, I can't wait to learn more. They're going to be learning it in 2nd grade and 4th grade and chemistry and college.
Yeah, and hopefully they're taking the knowledge they get from this and attaching it to the life science. And,
Okay. Now, should we let's
they
move on
know
to
it
the
all in
next
first
one.
grade. I know.
How are higher order thinking skills integrated into these standards?
Yeah, we have chemical reactions.
Well, let's focus on one because it's already. I bet you she's not going to give us an hour to do this, and we've already. How about we do all of this for the first one, and then if we have time, we go back and do the second one? Okay. Is that okay?
Yeah. I think with this,
Yeah. They're starting to analyze what is matter. Besides just what is it, the chemical reaction one?
Yeah, chemical reactions and there's changes that occur. And
Okay.
it's basically the same.
I just know if we write all that out, and it is very similar. So the idea is that it narrows in on. Right, you kind of do have to.
so that when you get here, if you've never learned about, chemical properties, when you get here,
Third grade teacher shouldn't really have to remind them that there's solids, liquids, and gas.
And there's so many protons and neutrons.
They could probably move on from there, but K1 and 2 needs to focus on a couple things, and then third they move on. But higher order thinking skills and training standards, they start to analyze,
they're analyzing,
apply.
they're also
Some higher order thinking skills. I put applying previous learning, creating models, analyze, and change.
Right.
Oh, that's what they gave us for the last one. So what I did is I took this and I compared it to NGSS and I wrote which one. Okay, this says, is it clear what students are expected to know and be able to do? I do too. You can. I like how they broke it down. You can actually. This can be a lesson. This can be a lesson. This can be a lesson.
I'm just wondering how my PowerPoint is going to compare to this, if it's going to be really similar.
I looked at the
You looked at the rough draft.
I looked at the rough draft. I mean, I was thinking but the way this one has that five to presentation, and then it starts with
They break it down by grade level.
break it down by grade level and it's like
So that's the next question. It says, what excites you about these standards?
Well, that's what I want.
I put it was clearly written, right? And they build upon each other.
and I like that they well yeah that
Progression. Yeah, I put they build upon each other.
what it might
Where did you find that?
and a couple of the resources
Yes. Yeah, NGSS was awesome.
made all this
No.
and on that framework that went
Okay. NGSS and the National Science Teacher one. NSTT. NSS. NGSS. That website was really good.
so the one I did it
It says, concerns or wonderings do you have about these standards? Oh, up north? Fine. Okay, we're working on it. Yeah, but yeah. The lack of resources. Yeah.
And we're kind of in the middle. You know, there are some districts in San Diego County that are further ahead than us, and others like Santa Unified that are barely there.
And there's some states that aren't even attempting to update. Yeah. I know. I looked at that map. I was like, really?
I don't feel.
Hopefully, at least 10 of them are
Well,
working
we know
on
Texas
it.
won't because
Wait,
Texas
what?
always. We know Texas won't because they always have to be done.
But even though our state is, not all districts have adapted.
Because there wasn't a mandate that came down
So how
said you
can-
must do it by a certain time, but we are going to. So,
Okay, so California has adopted it, but districts have until when to.
I don't think they put that pressure on them.
So how can they say California has?
Because whoever at the state level has said.
Okay.
We have decided.
And then they provide the money.
Yeah, which is, you know, it's in a way it's nice that they haven't said you must do it by a certain point.
Like
and
this-
the other
like
side
Common
of that
Core,
is,
you
yeah.
had to date 2015.
But the other side of that is if you don't say it by a certain point, then people take forever. So I don't know where the balance is in that.
They don't set a date if they don't have.
Funding for the materials.
Yeah, and the curriculum that's currently out there is. I looked at some of it. I'm not impressed. I'll talk to you real quick.
Yeah, we were.
Okay. Trying to put.
Did you have a question, or were you just
No,
okay?
I was sorry.
That's okay.
Then it,
So just so you know, next steps, you're filling out the graphic organizer on your table, and then I've put chart paper around, and you can create a representation or a summary of what your group talked about and what you've noticed.
That's what you were talking about.
Yes.
Plan and conduct investigation.
How's your daughter doing? Good. She has an amazing